This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, episode 714, Overcoming Our Self-Limiting Beliefs, with Dr. Brandon Beck. Welcome to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, hosted by author, educator, speaker, and mom, the Cool Cat teacher, Vicki Davis. With the challenges of this past year, some educators say that they find themselves having thoughts of self-doubt. Sometimes this self-talk causes self-doubt, and it can limit your ability in the classroom. But there is a solution. Today's guest, Dr. Brandon Beck, helps us learn how to face our self-limiting beliefs, appreciate the positive things we have done, and move forward to a brighter future. This show is a pep talk as we work through it together. Enjoy!
Today's sponsor is EducaPlay, a complete gamification platform. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn how you can create and share activities on this fun and versatile website. Today we're interviewing Dr. Brandon Beck, a national board certified teacher, award-winning soccer coach, and author of the upcoming book, Unlocking Unlimited Potential. So, Brandon, today we're going to talk about self-limiting beliefs. What do you think the self-limiting beliefs are that have caused teachers to really struggle in 2020 with all the different ways that we've had to teach? And I know you've had lots of different ways being there, an elementary teacher there in New York. What are those self-limiting beliefs teachers are struggling with right now?
Well, I think the obvious one is dealing with all the uncertainties related to COVID and the fact that a lot of our school districts have sent us off into our classrooms and we're off kind of on a bit of our own island. And we are left to our own devices at times to make a lot of decisions. And we don't have a lot of that face-to-face support that we used to have, that connection with our colleagues as we are kind of in our own classrooms or in our own homes. And I think that number one thing right there leads to so many limiting beliefs of whether or not, am I doing this right? Am I doing it well? And the fact that remote learning was so new to us back in March. And I think that really not necessarily scarred us, but it definitely left us all kind of in the lurch of whether or not we were doing what needed to be done best for our students.
And when you say we were left to our own devices, that's really kind of a pun in some ways, but it's true. Here we are separated from one another, even if we're in the same building, and trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was so many things happened so quickly back in March, and we were just kind of left to figure out what was necessary, what we needed at that time. Did we even have our supplies with us at home when we needed them? And were our students ready? And it really kind of turned the world upside down. And there were so many moments throughout the process, just sharing my experience and talking to other educators out there. There was just constant frustrations. And as we've fast forward into now, where we are is there's one day we're in school and the next day we're getting a letter home and saying, oh, now we're teaching from home. And there's so many uncertainties and so many changes. And with all those changes happening, it can really lead to those self-limiting beliefs, those ideas of whether or not, am I doing what's right? Am I good enough to do this? Are my students getting it? And those self-limiting beliefs can really become toxic if we really aren't prepared to overcome and rise above.
Well, as a technology teacher, I've heard this through the years. Technology doesn't like me. And I always just want to say, technology is just technology. It's, do you decide that you're going to like it and do it? And I say that with all the respect in the world, because I do know that some people have different gifts, and it may not be that technology is their best gift, but certainly, can we all do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can do whatever we put our mind to when all is said and done. And in just what you just said right there, like the way we phrase those things that are coming into our head when we're sitting there and all of a sudden we get the letter and we're changing and we're going to remote tomorrow. Is it the first thing that comes to your head, like, I just can't do this anymore? Or is the first thing that comes to your head like, all right, I'm ready to adapt. I'm ready to roll with this. My students are flexible. I'm flexible. I know that I can get the best out of my students that I possibly can, and I'm not going to put a ton of stress on myself because I have to understand the environment that I am in, and I have to understand that I can only control the controllables, and what I can control is I can control myself.
That's absolutely true. And, saying things like, let's show kids how important learning is, and let's be patient with each other, and let's be kind with each other. What are some other ways that we can get past our self-limiting beliefs? Because I know that there are teachers out there who are exhausted and just wonder, how can I do this anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different ways. I like to do I'm a big follower of Tony Robbins. And if you're not familiar with him, a huge personal development, self-help guru. And he's an expert in this. And one of the things that Tony Robbins suggests that people do is he calls it the 5-5-5. And so basically every day you do 5 positive affirmations, 5 things you're grateful for, and 5 minutes of meditation. So I've tried to really commit to this just for a week. And then I took it and did it another week. And just this one little thing, this one little change in waking up every morning, the moment when my feet hit the ground, writing down the things that I really believe that I am, the positive affirmations. I love people and people love me. My students are really lucky to have me as a teacher because I believe in everything that they can do. That's an example. And then, the things you're grateful for and the 5 minutes of meditation. I mean, we have to start with ourselves anytime we start with self-limiting beliefs. I mean, if you think about the word right there, it's self-limiting. You're limiting yourself because of things that you're saying in your head. And in order to do that, you have to change the story you're telling yourself. And in order to change the story you're telling yourself, you have to find opportunities that are basically habitual and something you can do on a daily basis so that you can start your day in the right step, in the right foot forward.
It really is a heart struggle for so many because it's so much about relationship. We have to relate before we educate. And some teachers are better at building those relationships anyway. But it's even more challenging perhaps online or when you're not seeing kids. Maybe there's reasons they can't turn on that camera. It's really hard to relate to a name on a screen when all you hear is, a couple of words out of them in a class, unless you change your pedagogy, like we all hopefully will, to be more collaborative. This is hard. It's not easy.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it's how much we can really focus on getting better each and every day and looking within. Like, for example, I know exactly what you just said I ran into with lack of participation. And I committed myself to finding out what I needed to do to be able to increase that participation. And what I did is I reached out to other educators. I sat in on a couple other classes and watched other teachers do it. I spoke to my PLN and reached out to a bunch of people on the Twitterverse and out there in social media. And one of the things that really helped me with my self-limiting beliefs was being able to be out there on social media and connect with all these people and to see that, the problems that people were having in Florida or Ontario were the same as the problems that I was having in New York. And so just understanding that you're not alone is just such an important part to being able to help project yourself forward and keep moving forward in the times of all of this uncertainty.
So, Brandon, what has been the self-limiting belief you've had to overcome in 2020, and how'd you do it?
That's funny you ask. So at the beginning of COVID, I started putting the final touches on a book, and I had, major imposter syndrome, which basically was, as I was writing this book, I'm thinking, okay, nobody's going to want to read this. Who's going to want to read, about my experience as a teacher, as a coach? And as I start sharing my story and I start speaking to others in the Twitter chats that I was on and speaking to other people and connecting to people like yourself and so many other people on podcasts, I started to realize and get value by hearing, other experts' opinions by saying, wow, that's a really awesome story. Right. That is what people need to be hearing right now. And that was basically for me, it was this idea of, can I really do this? And I just kind of projected myself forward and just kept moving forward and said, you know what? I actually wrote down the top 25 reasons why people needed to read my book. And every single day I sat down to write, I would read those 25 reasons. And it would just empower me to understand that, you know what? This is my purpose. I'm aligned with my purpose here to do better, to unlock unlimited potential, to help people see their inner genius. And by being able to remind myself of that, it helped me push away those self-limiting beliefs, and I felt empowered.
So fill in the blank, Brandon, as we finish up. As teachers move into 2021, I hope they don't blank.
give up. I hope they don't give up.
I hope they don't give up either, because teachers, you are more needed now than ever. And these are difficult and challenging times. And the one thing that I have found as I've interviewed folks about what's happened in 2020 is that teachers have really risen to the challenge. You have risen to the challenge. You have given more than you had to give. You have faced unreasonable circumstances with nobility and kindness and respect. And I do believe that as a whole, our profession is emerging from 2020 with a lot more respect from our world than perhaps we had going into 2020. And that's because of you. Thank you, Brandon, and thank you, teachers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day. Take care.
Educaplay is inviting all educators to create games on their platform. Crossword puzzles, memory games, map games, scrambles, matching, and more educational activities are available on this versatile website. Go to www.educaplay.com. That's www.educaplay.com and sign up for a free account. Then the fun begins. Not only can you create and share it, you can search activities created by other teachers and easily share them to Google Classroom. You can even win a free premium account when you share your activities with the hashtag Educaplay with us. That's EDUCAPLAY with us, US. Try out Educaplay today.